same 6. And Stanford will come out with their starting 6 also.
Jim McLaughlin along with his assistant, prime assistant Glenn Sato. Speaking of the Sato family, I see our game statistician is Mrs. Sato.
How many
who
Satos?
started this whole thing?
All right, how many Satos are in volleyball?
Scott, Glenn, Gary, Leanne, and who am I missing? Missing somebody. The parents, Mr. and Mrs. Sato, are everywhere.
Aaron Garcia.
Oh, I missed Eric, I think, didn't I?
You might have. One of the bigger names.
How do you miss E?
One of the bigger names. Underway. Game 2. Kovac. Side out. USC. Kovac.
You can really see SC's confidence growing after coming back in that game. See how Stanford rebounds.
Garcia, of course, getting the brunt of the work passing. Loswit. Gardner. Chong. Slid was there. A little too much heat on that one.
Nice shoots that boy. I keep going to Gardner outside. If I was a setter, he keeps setting him. He keeps putting the ball away.
And they know they're going left side, too.
Boy, nice looking hitter for a freshman.
Fierbringer. You can see, you're absolutely right. Fierbringer doesn't have the smoke, doesn't have the heat, not the power that some of the other hitters have, but he certainly has the finesse.
Yeah, he's a big hitter on the outside, moves it around well. Very effective. I mean, he's a great hitter percentage-wise.
Also, he's had shoulder problems. He was operated on as a freshman. He had it scoped in October of this year. Cleaned it out a little bit, so they brought him along slowly.
Well, they didn't expect him to have to carry the load this year either, so it's probably hurt his shoulder. By the end of the year, he's going to be sore.
Let that one float long. Side out, Stanford Cardinal. They started out well this season, did Stanford, mainly due to a favorable schedule. They were 6-1 right out of the gate. They hit a few bumps when they started getting some of the marquee teams. I don't think that ever went.
No, good call, Bill. That ball off the top of the tape. You can always tell usually how it caroms off.
1-all.
Stanford needs a good start here. Sorry, Bill. Stanford needs a good start, good serving, and they have to block some balls.
A little of that momentum back that they lost. A little miscommunication also, but it worked out all right for the Cardinal. But Gardner, that time, off a little flesh, it'll be a side out to SC.
Well, what they're doing right now, pretty easy to see. SC's smart game plan. They're setting right over Chong every time. He's in the front row. They're going, it's a mismatch. Gardner over Chong. I do it. It's a very smart play by the setter and by the coaching staff.
Very quick offensive play that time to Keenan Whitehurst.
When I was a hitter, Bill, you'd be out there and you'd see that small setter. I'd be yelling at my setter, he's in front of me. He's in front of me.
6'8" Gabe Gardner, 5'10" Stuart Chong.
Yeah, it's a mismatch in my book.
And there's a shanked pass that time by Gardner. So we're talking about his great extolling those virtues of hitting over the little guy, but he shanked that pass. It'll be a point to Stanford. There's Fierbringer. Two-time All-American. Gardner off the block that time of Garcia, and that's even a mismatch right there. Garcia is only 6'2".
Yeah, it really is. You always look for those mismatches, trying to get your big hitter against the smaller blocker of the other team.
This is game 2. 13 kills so far, Gabe Gardner.
There's a ability. I don't think I'll hit this one.
No,
it's a replay. You're allowed to drop the ball as long as you don't catch it.
Never comfortable that time. It's like somebody standing over a putt. He knew he wouldn't make it, and he wasn't comfortable from the time he got the ball.
I've always thought it was funny that the rule is you can let it hit the ground, but if you catch it, it's no good. What's the difference? I mean, you catch it.
There is none. Look at that delayed reaction. Spanked by Eric Seifert.
A weird play. He went up for the quick and just sort of hung around in the air, waited for the block to come down. The block goes up. They're down on the 4th floor. He stays on the 6th and hits it.
And worked. Chong quickly again. The quick offense usually goes to Keenan Whitehurst. You got it right there. Side out is his strength. Not an imposing blocker or a force that Brian Moore is, but he's got to fill that spot a little bit.
Well, he's not 6'8", so he's certainly not going to be as imposing.
Certainly. Giuliano was imposing right there from the left side right hand.
Jim McLaughlin was a setter in his playing days, the head coach at SC. He runs nose offenses, and he's got his setter moving the ball around very well right now.
I think Loswick is playing well. That was obviously a question mark coming in. He's got to get the confidence of his players. He's had some up and down games this year. That's blocked out of bounds. Stanford. I mean, we can never, ever underestimate the importance of having a great setter.
Well, you can. He runs the team. The quarterback, that time Pullman, outside goes up and just spanks it. Nice play.
Best setter you've seen in the last few years in the NCAA level.
Oh, I think you'd have to look at Jeff Stork at once, certainly, who became the great setter. That may be going back farther even, but recently you look at Lloyd Ball. He started for the US team. He's a 6'8" setter. You got to love that.
Kenyon Seaman was a pretty good setter too.
Kenyon Seaman's a great athlete. At Pepperdine, I'm missing it right now. I should know. Marvel Kilme. Playing with the national team now. I'll bring it up, Bill. You do that to me.
I didn't mean to.
Everybody, the parents will be calling. Please write to Bill McDonald.
Of course, SC had one of the greatest of all time, and Dusty Dvorak also. That one hit out.
I'd say historically for the U.S., Dusty Dvorak, Jeff Stork have been the two great setters for this country. I think that Lloyd Ball will be. I mean, he's just huge.
I want to get into the chances of the United States in Atlanta a little bit later on, too, because I know you're probably in tune with what's going on with the national team. You'll be down in Atlanta. Chong. Giuliano. Again, Giuliano. No, he didn't get to it. Stanford. Fierbringer. I thought Giuliano was going to get another opportunity, but Pullman was there and Fierbringer.
And Fierbringer just sort of reaches and takes it out of his hand. He's ready to get it, cannot play it. Stanford again, off quick.
Yeah, exactly, just like they were in game number one. Devin Pullman to serve, the jumper. Little pace off of that one, and into the net it goes. Pullman's coming off of a sprained ankle in a match against UOP. In fact, that one was tied 11-11 in game 4. He had been the most effective hitter. He went out and lost the match. Got back in the gym on Wednesday. 3-1. Stanford.
A lot of team in the modern game. These setters fall in love with the back row attack. Quick to the outside, and they forget about the middle guys. And you have to work the middle so everything else works around it.
Let's see what SC does. Outside. Fierbringer. Unable. To bring it up was Russell Brock. And Fierbringer's starting to come on a little bit now, Kurt.
Well, they're starting to go to him. He knew they're going to go to him eventually. That time, outside high hit. Saw some heat that time out of it. Long set, nice set across court. He goes over the top of the block, but not deep play.
Stanford rolling early here, and we have a timeout. It's 5-1 Cardinal over USC, but the Trojans lead 1-0. No flipping around. We'll be back. In the future, all right, let's get right to it as they come back out on the floor. National team chances in Atlanta.
They're not real deep, Bill. I think if they stay healthy, they're fourth right now, 5th in the world. They can make a step up. I'm not sure they can beat Brazil and Italy, but they have a lot of talent. Brian Ivy's very good. They're just really a good team. They got great setting. Lloyd Ball and Jeff Stork, real strong in the setting position. They're real thin in the swing hitter position. That's where they're the thinnest. And Bob Sturlake is back and Scott Fortune.
Is there one player, do you think, that if comes on and has the tournament of his life can make a difference? And if that is so, who might that be? I'll let you stew on that for a minute.
I always think about that for a second. I think they're really not deep enough they can afford to lose any, except maybe at setter, where they have an all-world player on the bench, Jeff Stork.
Yeah.
Could they afford to lose a player? And Lloyd Ball right now, he's such a young, enthusiastic player. He's sort of the heart of the team. So that would be hard to tell, too. I'm not sure they could lose Brian Ivy and win. That's what happened to him in Barcelona.
Let's see. Let's see if they can come back like they did in game.
Glenn Sato, Gary Sato, the assistant coach in '88 with Barb Dunphy. Sato's great tradition in volleyball. They really do support this game with players and coaches and scorers and the whole family, and it's a great family.
Glenn on the bench helping Jim McLaughlin at USC. USC now gets a point back at 2-5, and Gabe Gardner to serve. That one takes again, and Stanford will side it out. Back to serve will be Stuart Chong. Repetition has made this guy a good setter.
Well, and I'd say repetition makes all setters good. You have to set 1,000 balls or more a day, have the same hitters. It's just a position that is practice and practice and practice. Setters do amazing things. For those of you who've never tried it, hitters are yelling different sets in the combinations as they're moving. Setter has to hear all 5 hitters and know where they're going.
Bad pass. Rosewood couldn't get over in time, and Stanford will now lead 7-2.
Aaron Garcia sees it, ball comes over, sees the blocker, cannot play it. Nice smart hit by Garcia.
So Aaron Garcia puts it home for Stanford. They lead by 5. Very similar to game 1, but SC won that one 15-12. It's 7-2 now, though. Cardinal leads. Interesting story. I mentioned in game 1 he's had a rough year. He caught pneumonia, couldn't get even back into the country until January.
From Hungary, couldn't get back in. You know, that's tough. You miss all that training and then you're not feeling well. Those are the problems. You know, a lot of foreign players are starting to play, Bill. And that's good. And we were talking about players from Texas and players from Illinois. Used to be all Californians, no longer.
Kovac couldn't even get back to training until February the 6th. He's still only going 3 practices a week, and Jim McLaughlin likes to go hard. So,
well, certainly one of the controversies starting to happen are the foreign players showing up. The team from Hawaii is almost the Israeli national team, and they are real good. So I was talking with Al Skates when they went 5 over in Hawaii. Says, yeah, we almost beat the Israeli national team over there.
Oh.
So
Al never wanted to steer clear of that. 7-4 now as SC gets another point. UCLA, of course, right in the mix of things. Number 2 in the country right now. Certainly another possible national champion on the horizon for Al.
34 years at UCLA, amazing career.
How many championships?
15.
15 and 34, unbelievable record. We'll keep it right here. 7-5 now as SC has rattled off a couple in a row, and Ruben Nieves. And I think you mentioned right at the top, you really like the job he's done at Stanford.
Well, I really do. I think he's the right place. He's a thinking coach. I guess if you're going to be a thinking coach, Stanford's the place. The players certainly have to be thinkers to get into school. So he's done a nice job. He keeps the players. He's starting to recruit. Players believe he can win now, and he's getting better players.
Stanford on the season 7-5 in league, which puts them just behind Long Beach. Thus, you know the importance of that big win that they had last night down in Long Beach. I think a bit of a surprise beating them in 3 straight too.
Well, I think it's a huge surprise, not a bit of one. Don't know. I didn't see who played for Long Beach. Didn't get to see that match, but you're right. It's a big upset, I think, at this point in the season. Has to be a big win for Stanford. It probably does get them in the playoffs. But if they lose tonight, you can erase that win last night.
And this is one that if they thought they were going to win one of the two, you're sure they're thinking about this one. Here are the kill leaders so far, and we're in game number 2, about halfway through it. And boy, that's no surprise.
No big surprise. I think we talked about those players somewhere in the beginning of the match. You are a genius, Bill. That's who you said to talk about, and look at that.
Did I say that? Thanks for giving me the credit. 7-5. Finding the open space that time was Keenan Whitehurst.
Players often forget about the tip. They think about the power, hitting it straight down. The tip is very effective.
Assistant Whitehurst will serve it again. Giuliano, the pass. Go right back to him. Chong. Way back Gardner. A little late, Kovac reacting.
think that was a pretty big play. SC starting to crawl back into this again, Bill.
And thus a big point for Stanford. Kovac just couldn't stretch out that 6'10" frame.
He had the paintbrush down and it worked. Yep. Double contact called after the block on USC.
2 in a row right after the timeout.
That's a big point, big point.
Substitution now for the Trojans. Coming in for USC. Corey Shigematsu is in for USC. Number 4, Shigematsu, back row. Side out USC. Seifert. Good look at Eric. Well, they need him every single night. He carries the emotional load of this team. As we look at the back of Kovac, but Seifert, you know, he became the leader of this team right away, something that it's lacked the last couple of years. Leadership. Quick, right to number 13, Michael Hofer. Strong at the net, and he puts it home. Nice little snap by Hofer.
Eric Garcia.
He's been moved back to that middle blocker position, played opposite a lot of the year. Just because he was one of the best 6. They had to play him out of position. Wanted him on the court. Goes back row that time. Gardner. And a net violation.
Well, Gardner again, he extends well. He's big already, and he gets his arm up very nice and high and snaps the ball well. Barring any injuries, he has a great long career.
Yeah, because he knows the game so well. Just for those natural volleyball players. Good bump that time by Chong, but it's out. And the point goes to SC. Good little safe bump set that time by Chong. The bomb went long and wide. End of the game, number 12, Jeff Bender, the backup who's had a back problem. In fact, this is his first trip in a long time for the Cardinal. He's in the game. Saw some action last night. Fierbringer. That's a pound.
Well, just up over the top, and there's not much you can do about it. If he has heat on it like he did that time, goes up over the top of the block into the corner. That's a great hit.
Here's Bender, who comes in for Pullman. Different than Pullman. A little more complete net game than number 11. Oh, that was a weak hit that time by Gardner trying to place it.
Talking about Gardner as a freshman, there was a freshman hit.
Really dropped it down and hit it about halfway into the net.
It's a play hard for a big hitter to make. The ball's off the net, really. It sort of gets above him, and he short shanks it with his arm. He didn't like it either. It's just a bad play by a freshman. You have to keep that ball deep corner when it's low like that.
10-6 is our score. Stanford on top. In case you're joining us late, as we go live coast to coast. USC won game number 1. They fell behind early, battled all the way back to win at 15-12. Similar situation here, but Stanford has stopped that SC momentum a little bit, and they've gone back out to a 4-point lead.
Well, I think it'd be much harder for Stanford to get down 2 games here and expect to be able to come back in USC's home, the Lions Center,
like they did up in Stanford.
Yeah, it's one thing to do it at Maple Pavilion when you got the springboard, and another thing to do it here.
By the way, looking at some national stat leaders in this week's national stats, USC's Chris Giuliano is 11th in kill average. Gabe Gardner is 15th in kill average. Russell Brock is 18th in dig average. That guy right there, Matt Fierbringer, is 5th in kill average in the country and 6th in hitting percentage. And once again, when you look at the national picture, the top 8 teams are in the West, and then you get to Lewis, ranked number 9.
I saw Lewis last night against UCLA, and they are a good team. They beat Santa Barbara up in Santa Barbara the night before. So they're really a strong team.
Fierbringer, Kovac, see.
I like Kovac. He moves along the net well. He's got long arms, gets his arms up as a middle blocker, keeps him up, and then gets over the net.
They're working on his arm swing offensively, trying to turn the ball over. I think they've found a little problem that he's had. Fierbringer, no such problem there.
Hitching to get along?
Yeah, I think so, a little bit.
That worked from a Hungarian player, a hitching to get along. That's a nice hit. Fierbringer, he's starting to extend, get over the top of the block.
10-6, long, side out, University of Southern California. And Gardner will serve it up, or will be Kovac. It'll be Kovac's turn, number 13.
Kovac at the line.
Whoa, quick in the middle. Keenan Whitehurst, see ya.
Haven't called Whitehurst's name an awful lot, and again, it gets back to hitting the middle. 31 set. That's away from the setter, about 1.5 feet above the net. Nice play.
We mentioned that he, as Chong said him that time, Whitehurst led the league last year in hitting percentage. You can see why when they do go to him, it's usually lights out. Side out now once again, and that was Giuliano. Giuliano's the kind of guy you got to keep under control. Must relax and patient. Loses control at times.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah, out on the court, and if you keep him poised, he'll play well for you. Chong, oh, look at that effort, and that's a throw.
Well, he just ran out of room, ran into the referee stand as he tries to set that, and it threw his hands off. Nice try. A 6'8" setter gets that ball.
Chong at 5'10", needs a few inches, more than half a foot.
There aren't a whole lot of 6'8" setters around.
Stuart Chong serving.
More and more starting to show up, though.
If there was one that could do it with any consistency, he'd be the #1 guy in the country.
And he is. His name's Volleyball.
Exactly. That's the package that you're looking for.
Nice line hit. He sees it all the way. Block never really gets out in time.
Loswick. 10-7. Whoa! Chong just brought it right. There's Whitehurst again.
Getting to him a little more frequently. Good pass. Jump set by Chong. He has to jump set almost all the time to deliver the ball quicker than that middle hitter.
SC returns the favor, going middle to Russell Block.
Well, you see why they jump serve. If they pass right to the net, setter jumps up, fakes the middle. That time goes to the combination X play.
Russell Brock at 6'2", 6'3", hasn't played a whole lot in his career because of that height. Chance for SC to get to within 2.
Well, they let the setters get away with a lot. Not that much. That was a good call that time. Kim Pickering right on top of it. Jim McLaughlin and ex-setters not saying too much.
You know, you don't see a whole lot of demonstrative volleyball coaches. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Kirk Kilgore, but so many of them sit so patiently, and they sit there and they'll give their signals and they'll write their numbers down. Who's the most demonstrative coach that you can think? Ruben's the same way. Ruben's nice and composed over there.
I think in the college game, there's not a lot of them.
No, there aren't, are there?
Right, and internationally, the Russian coaches, they go nuts.
Do they?
They yell and scream and do all that. But I think in the United States, the young coaches have learned some composure. I'm not sure I like it all the time, Bill. I think there's times you have to get in people's faces and scream and get mad. You know, and it does happen.
It's just the nature of the game, as opposed to a basketball coach who's up and hollering all the time. Here in this game, they're always usually very composed.
I'd say Don Shaw with the women has his moments when he can get in there.
Giuliano.
With a drive. Side out.
And SC has a side out.
I have seen Al Skates throw his clipboard down a few times.
Tipper serving.
I'm sure in 34 years that's happened once or twice.
In fact, I've seen him throw an umpire or two down. No, wait a minute.
11-7 is our score. SC down, but serving. Chong quickly middle. Not a high set, kind of a low one, but Hoffer kind of sidearm that one over for a side out.
Nice save by Hoffer. It wasn't high enough. He sort of dropped his arm down and just clubbed it into the corner.
And Hoffer will now get a chance to serve it up. 6'7" junior from Goleta. Santa Barbara way. Shank pass that time from Brock, and Stanford closing in on game 2, trying to tie this match up at 1 apiece.
Substitution for the tournament.
It's 12-7. Back in the game for USC, Brian Edwards replacing Eric Seifert. Edwards, 5'11" sophomore out of Thousand Oaks. Sidesteps that one.
USC. Turning into game for Edwards.
Seifert back in, Edwards out. Edwards in just enough to watch a ball sail long. 12-9 in the service error department. SC down by 5, they need a run. The bump back. No real chance for Jeff Bender that time, and SC will collect their 8th point.
Yeah, not really a good play. Tried to hit it down. Wasn't a good set. You just can't power it. Tries to go across his body. Too low to do that. Right down the middle of the net.
That's a good pass. Feuerbringer's right there to slam it home.
Well, one-on-one, that's what you look for. Nice play by the setter that time. Chong isolates his hitter outside one-on-one. The hitter's going to win that 90% of the time.
And after the pound, Feuerbringer gets the serve, floats it to Gardner. Will it go back to Gabe? Yes, it will. Off the block, opportunity. Stanford right here. Garcia, yes, point. 13-8.
Stanford making the most of their opportunities. Good dig that time, ball up in the air. Score the point.
And there's about 20 or so Cardinal supporters that have made the trip down. There's the end of that point.
Garcia, nice reach over the block then.
Chance to get the game point again. Feuerbringer in the back, and they're going to get the 14. It's 14-8, one away from tying this matchup.
Again, having an opportunity that goes deep to his big hitter, Feuerbringer. He sees it, and he brings it home.
And we have some house cleaning going on. Here we go, guys. So one of the SC players that needed the towel. Game point. We're live at the Lions Center. Bill McDonald and Kirk Kilgore. Stanford lost game 1, but they're on the brink of winning game 2. And they can do it right here. Feuerbringer outside Garcia for the game. And there is a touch, and that's game 2, and it goes to the Cardinal.
Well, a great set by Feuerbringer. He's in the back row. Remember, he's a big guy. Puts it outside. Garcia looking for hands again. Gets them. They go out of bounds. Game 2 goes to Stanford.
So it takes Stanford a while to get going, and they get going in game 2, and they win it 15-8. We're tied at 1 in the best of 5. Back in the 3rd when we come back after this.